You can't talk about the Singapore Grand Prix without talking about the biggest scandal in F1 history, crashgate, so here's the TLDR in 3 minutes. 2005, Renault wins the Drivers' Championship with Fernando Alonso. 2006, Renault wins the Drivers' Championship again with Fernando Alonso. 2007, Fernando Alonso goes to McLaren and gets in a little tussle with Lewis Hamilton, and Renault sucks. 2008, Fernando Alonso goes back to Renault alongside rookie Nelson Piquet Jr., son of three-time world champion Nelson Piquet. And in 2008, Renault sucks too, at least for their standards. They haven't gotten a single podium in the first 14 races of the season, and they just can't catch a break. But going into the 15th race of the season, Singapore, Fernando Alonso starts lighting up the timing sheets in practice, and there's actually some promise for a podium or race win. But that all went away after he suffered a mechanical issue in Q2, which left him 15th on the grid next to his rookie teammate despite qualifying almost a second and a half faster. Now, I'm going to spare you the details here because, like I said, I'm on a bit of a time crunch, but if you pit right before a crash or any sort of a safety car, that's extremely advantageous for your race, and you will gain a shit ton of positions. So Renault and their little slimeball team principal, Flavio Briatore, said, let's just make sure that happens to Fernando today. Fernando started the race on a really questionable strategy, and this was back in the refueling days. So Fernando only had 14 laps of fuel for his first stint, which, again, to save you the details, is at face value really risky and really dumb. So with that being said, Fernando Alonso pits on lap 12, and miraculously, 2 laps later, Nelson Piquet Jr. crashes at the most inconvenient spot to recover a wrecked car on the entire track. This means that not only a safety car, but a long safety car is coming. So obviously everyone else has essentially no choice but to pit, and the pit lane was closed for a good part of it, so if you pitted for fuel in that time, you'd get a 10-second penalty, and long story short, Fernando ends up in first and wins the race. And nobody thought a thing of it. However, there are still some loose ends that didn't quite get tied up. For starters, Felipe Massa, who was in contention for the championship this year, was in the lead before the crash, and when he came into the pits, Ferrari did a Ferrari thing, and it cost him the win and ultimately the championship. But at this point, nobody knows about the planned crash yet, so Massa can just go cry, I guess. But now they do, because in 2009, when Nelson Piquet Jr. got fired from Renault for being terrible, he started running that old mouth of his and saying that he was ordered to crash at the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix. This set in motion a gazillion legal disputes, but again, saving the details, Renault were found guilty and suspended from F1 for 2 years, and the slimeball Briatore was banned from F1 for life, and now he's Alpine's team principal. That makes sense. But like I said before, Massa was very upset that he lost the championship, so hearing that there was cheating in this race made him furious, and to this day, he's still battling in court to have all points for the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix voided in order to make him 2008 world champion instead of Lewis Hamilton. But that's probably not going to happen.